PIXAR, 5 voice actors who nailed their roles, 5 who fell short. Even PIXAR, revered as one of the best animation studios, has seen both the good and bad of voice acting. With animated films finally being given the credit they deserve. The people behind the scenes are also gaining credit for their hard work. Many celebrities have joined the animation bandwagon, with some applauded for their incredible performance, while others failed to grasp how important the role is. Even PIXAR, revered as one of the best animation studios, has seen both the good and bad of voice acting. It's not something every actor can do. But there are some who have shown their talent at PIXAR, while others have let the company down. 10. Fell short. WALL-E. Jeff Garlin didn't land as Captain B. McRae. Having very few characters with dialogue, WALL-E's voice actors stood out more than they normally would. Jeff Garlin, who voices Captain B. McRae, has the most prominent speaking role. His character leads the way, not only as the captain of the Axiom, but also as the first human to want to return to Earth. Garlin's voice acting in WALL-E can be emotionally stirring to an extent, but aside from those small moments, he doesn't bring much else. He does succeed at entertaining the audience with a bit of whimsy to his voice. And it's pretty apparent that he had fun with the role. Overall, the voice acting could have been a little better. 9. Nailed it. Finding Nemo. Ellen DeGeneres makes an unforgettable performance as Dory. Although Ellen DeGeneres found stardom through her stand-up comedy as well as her sitcom Ellen, she proved that voice acting is one of her strong talents. When performing as Dory in the film Finding Nemo, DeGeneres wasn't just a silly voice. Her comedic delivery was top-notch. But she also wowed audiences with her emotional range in voice acting. The scene in Finding Nemo when Dory is crying for Marlin not to leave her is incredibly moving solely because of DeGeneres' acting. It's also her ability to jump from one emotion to another and stay true to her character that's made her performance so iconic. 8. Fell short. Finding Dory. Ty Burrell doesn't show off his range as Bailey. Granted, Ty Burrell's character Bailey isn't given much screen time throughout Finding Dory, but sometimes that happens. Voice actors can create a character with their vocal skills regardless of how much screen time they have. In Burrell's case, there was a lot of characterization left. This is a shame, because his voice acting does have range, as seen in Storks and Mr. Peabody Sherman. As a beluga whale, Bailey is supposed to be able to use echolocation, but lies about a head injury preventing him from doing so. Normally this would mean there's an emotional block, or perhaps Bailey is just lazy, but that's not conveyed in Burrell's performance. That's not to say that every character has to have a tragic backstory. But a hint of something going on with this character would have provided a little depth. 7. Nailed it. Inside Out. Richard Kind brought a sense of childlike wonder to Bing Bong. If there's anything to learn from Inside Out, it's that Bing Bong is the best character. Granted, his design is incredibly charming and his role in the plot is inspiring and emotional, but Richard Kind's voice acting is what ties it all together. Kind perfectly acted Bing Bong's light-hearted humor and exceptionally illustrated his loving nature with the slightest changes of his voice. It's in the little details and slight changes that Kind exudes as Bing Bong as an upbeat, lovable, and friendly character who is willing to do whatever it takes for those he loves. Richard Kind was the perfect choice for Bing Bong as he created a stellar performance in Inside Out. 6. Fell short. Ratatouille. Lou Romano should have realized that Linguini isn't from Brooklyn. For any acting job, accents are a key part of building the character as well as supporting the setting. But it's not a talent that every actor has. Lou Romano didn't necessarily need to learn French, but he could have at least toned down his own accent. Hearing someone's Brooklyn voice try to speak French words cheapens the French setting and the accent confusion distracts from Ratatouille's story. That being said, Romano had some good moments in his performance as Linguini in Ratatouille, bringing in a good balance of insecurity and raw emotion which works for Linguini's character. If he toned down his accent just a bit or at least grasped a few French words, then he would have been a much better fit. 5. Nailed it, The Incredibles. Brad Bird struts his stuff as Edna. The Incredibles has some amazing characters supported by the most talented voice actors, but most standout was the director of the film, Brad Bird. More than the impressive talent of voicing a character of a different gender, Bird's performance as Edna was brilliant. It's not so often in film that an older female character gets to steal the spotlight from the heroes. But that's thanks to Bird's boisterous performance. The tones he hit and the style of his voice were the perfect choices for this eccentric character. 4. Fell short, Cars. Owen Wilson loses himself as Lightning McQueen. As one of Pixar's worst films, Cars had to have subpar voice acting as well. Owen Wilson starring as Lightning McQueen gave a less than inspirational performance. It's not the worst performance in all of animation, but it definitely leaves something to be wanted. Wilson is entertaining and delivers his lines well enough to just about resonate with the audience. But he doesn't add much to the already bland character. To make matters worse, it's one of those voice acting performances where you can't help but picture the actor instead of the character. In Cars, Owen Wilson needed to do a lot to compensate for that, which he failed at. 3. Nailed it, Soul. Jamie Foxx brings soul to Joe Gardner. Everyone already knew Jamie Foxx was a talented actor, but he surprised audiences with his stirring performance as a voice actor in Soul. In the 2020 film, Foxx plays Joe Gardner, but unless you're really paying attention, you won't be able to connect the voice to the actor. Foxx changes his voice in the slightest way to match the character to perfection. His sincere and emotional performance is at the heart of the movie. Without it, Soul wouldn't be as much of the success as it was. 2. Fell short, Cars. Larry the Cable Guy is sweet as Mater, but his performance is overall disappointing. The Cars franchise doesn't get any better with the second film, which focuses on Mater saving the world as a spy, not a good comeback for the worst of Pixar. Granted, Mater isn't such a terrible character. He has his own charms as a sweet and kind friend, and that is supported by some of Larry the Cable Guy's voice acting. Aside from these short-lived moments, Larry's voice acting doesn't do much more. Larry suffers from his voice being too recognizable, which isn't always the worst thing, but it can be too hard to separate Mater from his voice actor, leaving Larry with little success in the profession. 1. Nailed it, Coco. Anthony Gonzalez breathes life and song into Miguel. Every voice actor in Coco gave an immaculate performance, but the best is youngest cast member, Anthony Gonzalez. Not only is his singing impressive and mature beyond his years, but his acting prowess is spectacular as Miguel. For a young actor to convey such raw emotion as Gonzalez did is mesmerizing to watch and boosted the success Coco tenfold. Throughout Coco, Gonzalez never misses a beat, adding the little details necessary to Miguel's character where necessary. Audiences hear when he's hurting, anxious, excited or scared. Whatever the scene is, Gonzalez is ready with an incredible voice acting performance.